I need to improve those areas, I need some relative strength and I need some things along that. The other thing we're really trying to work for is what we call, in reality, we have those type of strengths and improvements, but the real thing, gymnastical strength tends to be too, is what is gymnastics? It is a certain type of lifting. So I'm going to go through. The other type of strength is what we call power. Okay, what is power? What's the term for power?
Force times velocity or something like that.
Right. Strength, some sort of resistance, and speed involved in that. Okay? What's more important, absolute strength or power?
Power. Power.
Power, by far. Okay? Very important. Why? Pole vault is powerful. Okay, so we start looking at gymnastical strength. What is gymnastical strength?
Power.
Pretty powerful at times, yeah, extremely. Except when we're doing pull-up, we're doing other things. But in reality, the vault is an extremely dynamic activity, right? It's very, very powerful. Everything we do, we've got to have. But the thing is, we must go through a level first. We develop a little muscle endurance. Then we start working a little bit on what we call our absolute strength. Developing our strength abilities, improve it so that our body has the ability to get ready. What we'd like to see in that process is a certain increase in relative strength. Okay, meaning for us as pole vaulters, we'd like to see our strength be above what our body weight is. Our ability to do things greater than our body weight. Because what are we going to have to do when we get to power is the fact that we have to move our body weight. We're throwers. We throw what?
Our body.
Our body, okay? So now we get a point where we develop power. And so that's what you want, you're trying to develop through when you move through this process. Endurance, strength, absolute strength through that process. That's mixed in with some relative strength and then towards some power strength. So our lifting will basically, emphasis will be earlier on the slower type of lifts early in the season. First, some stuff that's endurance, working our whole body. Again, general lifting activities. Working more muscle groups during that time, less sets, a little more reps, trying to get our body completely developed to handle things. Okay? Then we go to more isolated strength areas, working those areas, and then we move up in terms of, and as we're mixing in there at the same time, we're working our technique on what we call important lifts, which would be our power cleans, our snatches, and those type of things, working those through the process. And then when we get to our last phase in terms of our preseason general phase, then our emphasis, we're at a point now where our lifts are getting up in terms of our cleans and other things, and then we start working our power. Then we go to our next power, which is very important in that whole process. We're doing a little bit as we go, is then I feel like our body is ready for more plyometric type activities. A lot of vaulters, I never get to that. But jumping activities, those type of things, prepping ourselves. So that's kind of the range we go. But all those things you're mixing in from the beginning. You have to understand, and that's how you kind of put things together. But you need a good general activity there. And the thing is, you're trying to develop, so your muscles, you got to develop all different ways. Do not, in the beginning, you're not working specifically towards pole vaulting. You're working towards just general conditioning the body. Then as we get more and more, we pick things that are more towards pole vaulting. Okay, then next through there, we're pole vaulters, right? So we have to add a lot of work we do in there is pull-ups, dips, rope climbs. Those start pretty early, right, from the early process. A lot of core strength, abdominal, back, all those things, working through that process all the way through, taking that through. The thing is, when you get to the point where you're doing heavy absolute strength or heavy Olympic lifting type stuff, those are pretty intense on your body. You're not really able to handle too much during that time when you really hit that stuff. So sometimes vaulting, other activities, they get a little ignored. Okay? It's very basic, so during that time you're doing it. Then we start moving. My phase is pretty much we go up through this. I tend to do most of my plyometric work or power work during the, if I do it, some they're not able to do it. I don't allow it because their bodies can't handle it, is during Christmas break time. That's when I have them focus on that and they can go home and they can do a lot of body. But that's the only thing sometimes they get to do during that time. Because I'm afraid if I do too much of that, I'll break them down. Okay? The thing is, during that whole time, we're doing other things as well. But the strength, power, those are very important. During that same phase, too, we start off with Now we look at our our running activities. One thing I start from day one is sprint mechanics. Day one. I'm trying to develop some muscle activity. I'm trying to develop basic sprint drills. The sprint drills you see out here, the very basic ones, I do early in the season, day one. Day one. But what happens is, at first when you do those, they become more of a circuit endurance type thing, don't they? Okay? In reality, all I'm doing is taking them through what? What is that we do out there? What is it? What is it we do every day out here that seems like a workout?
Warm up.
It's a warm-up. That's all it is. I'm getting them shaped just to handle their warm-up. Period. Then as I get where their bodies are getting used to that a little bit, then we start adding things. And I have a very simple running philosophy. Okay? And it goes, one thing I do as soon as I can, because the sprint drills add some speed work right from the beginning. You cannot get fast without practicing running fast. I'm very big on that. Just like if I want to shoot a basket, I want to shoot it well, I have to practice that motor movement. Speed is something I have to practice in motor movement. Now how many times, the intensity, those type of things, again, have to follow this pattern a little bit. Usually about October, November, around that time, I think around November 1st, we always do our 40 Fest for our team. We have a lot of fun with it. That's when we're kind of getting our speed at 40 level, at a pretty high level, and we have a lot of fun with that. Okay? But the main thing is, we're trying to, it's really just our glorified sprint drills, trying to prep those. Training wise, then I also then start moving slowly through 3 levels of work running. Some speed once a week, and early in the season this becomes different type of speed. Speed, resistance, and I don't know if I got that right, and over distance. Okay? And not always in that order. So I pretty much try to hit, these are 3 things I hit. 1 day a week, I want to do some sort of, at a lower intensity early in the year, later higher intensity, shorter, we may do some hundreds or some other things, working on technique, running some hundreds is strictly technical. That's kind of our speed level. If you run 11 flat, we may be running 13, 5, 14 actually at that time, just easy, trying to develop early in the season, getting some reps on that. Go ahead, but in reality, go ahead.
When you do all your speed work, what's the farthest distance you do speed work?
Well, in reality, speed work is anything under 60 meters, but it's not. I consider anything really, to me, I look at 100 meters is what I consider my speed work. When I'm doing sprint drills, I consider that speed work. Early in the season, that speed day is mostly sprint drills. Okay? As we progress along, we get where we're doing some hundreds, we're doing some other things, and then we start backing down. When we really want it intense, we start doing 40s and 30s, and that sort of activity as the year goes along. Okay? But once a week, pretty much speed. Okay? Second day a week, and usually these aren't necessarily in this order, resistance. Resistance to me is, I do hills once a week. We start off in a low volume situation, we have a very low hill, we may gradually move up to a higher hill. We're doing, from 50 to 100 meter hills. Usually early in the season we're doing 100 meter hills. We don't go high intense after it, they get pretty competitive, always finishing strong. That's resistance. You can do towing, you can do other things. We do what we call resistance running. And another day of the week, we do 200s. Basically, I call it. My other group may do 300s or some other things. Ballers, I don't do too often the 300s. I just don't.
You strictly keep them around 200.
So I always look at it 1 day a week, and I even do this. I do this all year long, basically, some sort of formulation with this. Okay. During the summer, I tell my group, here's your running workouts. 100s 1 day, give me hills 1 day, give me 200s another day. Do 4 to 8 200s, 10 to 15 hills, 8 to 10 hundreds, or 60s, 100s. You have a choice. Maybe do that workout either 3 times. Do that in a week period, or a 10-day, or a 10-day period. Okay, one of those 2 out of those 3 things at a time. And I keep it real basic. Then just lift during the summer. That's how basic I keep it with that. We don't do much otherwise. And I keep it because when they go work out with their own, those are pretty much, these workouts for them are really, a 20, 30 minute warm out, and they're finished the workout in 30 minutes, and they get the workout done in an hour. They're done.
Do you do any overspeed? Because you do resistance, do you do any overspeed?
That becomes a very high intense activity. That starts following into this eventually. Okay. Now these are not necessarily a basic philosophy, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday lifting. Actually, a lot of my group during certain times of the year, we lift Sunday, Monday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We do upper body on one day, lower body another, upper body another, lower body another. My best results, I always think, has been actually 3 days a week. I like 3 days a week. Lifting wise, Sunday lifting or Monday lifting would be our hardest day. Our middle day would be our easiest lifting day, and our medium day, more volume, would always be the third day. It's kind of my basic philosophy. But it fluctuates during the year. Okay, you guys understand how that works. Okay, it's just following that sort of system. I love hills. I like hills. They put you in sprint mechanics, they get you power. It becomes a power activity, becomes an endurance, becomes a strength activity. I like those. I always finish off a lot of times my hills with doing some sort of strides or cool down afterwards and getting lactic acid out. Over distance, I like all my group to be able to, early in the season, we like to do a lot of, in the fall, I like to do some 200s. Like first we maybe start off 4 to 5, and we start moving to 6 to 8, and then we get to the point where we can run them a little faster and a little stronger. You know, and the whole thing is just following principle. I just look at over distance, speed, others, and what they can handle. The thing is, why I do a lot of this early in the fall is when our weather gets to the point where we start going indoors, certain things go away. This gets really hard to do, the over distance. This starts getting hard to do, and we change it to different activities. It becomes shorter activities. Maybe doing stadium stairs or doing towing, but it's a much shorter activity. We get so far away from our over distance type activity there, and everything's becoming during that time, our volume's higher and our intensity's higher, so we're getting more towards this. But you have to put some endurance into your workouts. You have to. Now in reality, endurance for pole vaulting is what? What type of endurance do you have in pole vaulting?
A lot of volts.
A lot of vaults. So what we need is ability to what?
Repetition.
Okay. Ability to what?
Regenerate? Yeah,
What'd you say? Who said recover quickly? Who said that? Recover. That's really our ability. We have to have the ability to recover. Now the thing is, there was a period of time, it seems like there for a while, vaulters were a low volume group in terms of amount of vaults they can handle. That's what I kind of found. Because I've gotten back again. I used to kind of you can only take so many jumps, blah, blah, blah. You shouldn't hit this, blah, blah. I've turned more of a high vaulter than before. I got sick of the fact that we never got enough time to get certain things done. But in reality, it depends on the length of your approach, what you're trying to do things, but you're trying to get the point. You don't want to do too many, but I've actually increased my volume a lot, volume-wise. But the ability is the ability to take enough jumps. I'll tell you the greatest benefit. You know why Stacy Dragula is the greatest female vaulter in the world?
She's fast. She can recover and she's fast.
She's the best in shape of any pole vaulter out there. She amazes me. If you ever seen a vault practice, she can take 40 vaults. I mean, it just amazes me. Now, why does that help her? You know why that helps her so much in a world championship? She always comes in a low bar. In a world or Olympic championships, you know how many centimeters they go each jump? 5. 2 inches.
Jeez. That's gotta get so monotonous.
So the guys, you pretty much see them over there, they'll skip bar, and it becomes a big game of skipping bars, and you can't go through. But what's amazing about Stacy, why I think she's the toughest world championship, Olympic Games athlete, is because she can jump everything. She can, and then come back at the end and still break a world record or do something well at the end of the meet. I really think that's what, she kills everyone on us because she's in such, but now she's gone more recently to a longer approach. I think that volume's gone down significantly. But she used to be able to just take, that was a huge benefit for her.
She never know heights either, does she?
Rarely.
No, really, yeah. But she comes in so low anyways, compared to what
Now
you
the
should
girls are starting to catch up to her because they're she's got all the speed, but now the technique for the other girls are catching up.
And they're catching up and they're doing things, but I'm telling you, it's still, when she's healthy, I take a Stacy over anyone in a major competition.
You just step on her.
Yeah.
I'd take the
She
Australian
competes.
girl because
Huh?
she looks
It gets
better.
back to what you talked about. She can compete.
She can compete, and she's going to be stronger at the end than any other girl there.
Just because she's
Period.
in shape.
She is. Her ability to handle a lot of jumps is unbelievable. Okay, we'll get into the next. Speed, resistance, over distance, those type of things. We try to increase recovery. I'm at the point where early in the season we have shorter recovery between each exercise. Later in the year, our recovery increases greater and greater, and the intensity increases. Okay, and we're trying to get to the point where we can run fast. But the thing is, in reality, in a practice, in a vault practice, what's the difference between pole vaulting and any other event? Practice in the pole vault versus any other event.
You can't have a perfect practice in the pole
You
vault.
gotta give 110%.
Yeah,
You come down around.
It is an all or nothing activity every time you go. It is not. You cannot do things. You can't do things 80%, basically. It's basically, that's why we set up short runs. It becomes 100%, kind of close to 100%. It's really not. It's much lower than that. But it becomes our practice and meets aren't really that much different in terms of our what we have to do, percentage-wise, everything of what our effort is. Because we have to get used to the rhythm of taking off every time the same speed. But it's, we're going to run a lot faster in the meet. We're going to do much better in the meet. We're going to do things. And I always think it's bogus when somebody can jump higher in practice than they can in meet. There's something wrong there. There's something wrong with your training if you do that.
Yeah,
There's something wrong.
But think of, I know what you're saying there, but think of how many more days you practice than you jump at a meet. So how many more days you're going to feel better at practice if you will at a meet.
I never feel good at
That
practice.
means you're training improperly. Okay?
I shouldn't feel good.
You should feel much better at meet than
You should
you do
feel
at
your
practice.
best at a meet.
That's what I feel.
I mean,
The
but
only time I ever jumped high, was in a meet. I never jumped high in practice.
That's the way it
I'm
should
the
be.
same way.
But you do have to put the work in practice. I mean, the whole thing, give you an example, we see Kevin Brown. One of Kevin Brown's biggest problems was he was one of the worst practice vaulters. He'd train, he'd work, he'd do all those things. But I could count on my hand. The first time I had him go over 18, I could count on my hand how many times he cleared a bar in practice that year. And first time he cleared 18 was late April or something like that. I can count on my hand how many times he cleared a bar in practice. Okay? I know that kills him. That's where he lacks that consistency and that ability to go. Okay? But yeah, you should jump. To me, you should jump 6 inches or so higher in a meet than you do practice. That's kind of the thing. All right, so speed, resistance, over distance, those type of things, you kind of follow those. Those are basic. Same things in terms of our lifting and those other things. You can watch those. But the big thing you have to do is look at general body. One thing I've seen a lot of work you have to do a lot of ankle strength, other things. Here's one exercise I think is more important than squats or anything. And I've become a big believer of this. Is if you cannot do, let me grab someone here. You want to try it?
Yeah.
You're always volunteering here. Come here. We'll have each one of you. What I want you to do for me is I want you to do a one-legged squat for me. And what you're going to do is you're just going to go like this. You're going to go down to 90 degrees and then come back up. Okay? All right. What did you see there? He completed it, but what did you see?
Yeah, no balance whatsoever.
The way his hands are out.
He had to work. Well, that shows me right there he has a lot of weakness right there. Okay? That doesn't mean he may be pretty good at squatting. He may do a lot of these lifts. But I just found out, and I see this a lot, and I bet I pull every one of you up here. I'll be very surprised if I see someone that has really good balance. I found the one-legged squats work a lot of balance, a lot of strength, a lot of other things there, because what you're trying to do, it creates balance, and you have to develop some stabilizing muscles. Okay? Before a person can start doing certain plyometric activities, bounding, hops, those sort of things, I want them to be good at doing that first. Now we do a variation of this. Who else wants to come up?
That hurts.
I'll try it.
I'll do it.
That hurts.
I'll do it.
Go ahead. We'll keep moving our variations up here. This time I want you to try to do a one-legged squat, and then I want you to finish the top of it with a jump. Okay, some decent balance there. Could have gone a little deeper down on your squat, but that was still pretty good.
Okay. Do
Okay.
That wasn't mine.
All right. Do you do one-legged
See,
squats?
that ain't
Twice a
no
week.
90 degree.
There you go. There you go. But here he did it twice a week. Look at his balance. It's huge.
We have like a body weight workout we do. Like we have like 8 different types of pull-ups, 8 different types of push-ups. We do things with chains, with balls. You do a push-up on a ball.
Mm-hmm.
You have to keep your balance on the push-up there. All different types of squats and things like that.
That's good. That's good. But you can see that right there. That balance is tremendously important. You know what? More so from
Does it happen?
an injury
I
prevention.
think you just like.
You know, the injury prevention, because what happens, you're doing squats, you have some balance, you're not working certain stabilizing muscles as much, okay? That's why we go with free weights anyways, develops. When I was at Abbott Christian, we did everything dumbbell-wise, which is really good because it works a lot more stabilizing muscles and some things going through there. But the thing is, I found that I took a girl this year, she had so many bad shins, one of my athletes, my long jumper, and she would always complain. And I was always afraid. This thing that scares you the most nowadays. Everybody gets stress fractures, has this and that. You know, some of it's diet related, some of it's shoe related, some of it's other things, and also strength. So what I did, and she was a triple jumper, long jump, triple jump. So what could I do with her? All I did was one-legged squat jumps like that, over and over, and we did some other circuits and other things to keep her going. And she went from being bringing her in to just being a low level. Her main event was high jumping actually. She ended up going from 18 feet to 19.6, just working on approach and doing one-legged squats. That was all I could do with her. I couldn't do any land. I couldn't do anything. Massive, a foot and a half improvement in terms of that. And then we started getting her high jump up where it's supposed to be up there too. She's, she jumped. She's probably at the point now where she'd go about 5'10", but she's only about 5'6" tall. The thing is, it's working those stabilizing muscles are very important. Okay? And working all your muscle groups, doing different activities, doing ankle exercises, doing different things help a lot. Walking on your heels, those type of things. All right, training-wise, vaulting. What we want to do during this whole time, you want to probably spend from day one. And we get weird rules with NCAA's. We got the 8-hour rule. We can't do things with an implementer or with certain universities that follow these rules, but you can't do something with a pole. Okay, basically, you can't do anything that is specific towards your event.
When?
You can't require them to do it.
When?
Yeah.
When is
During
the down
early
period?
season. You only have 8 hours a week you can train. It's the maximum you can train until you get in what we call special 20 hours a week training.
Is that like with the coach, or can you go like after practice and work
All
out?
right. Well, yes, you can go after practice. You
Alright.
can do things. And one thing you'll find too in the NCAA rules, we have a lot of freedom. There's what we call volunteer.
Yeah.
You can volunteer vault and do things like that. But I pretty much do this with my group. I say, okay, today we're doing sprint drills. I mean, we're going to do some sprint drills, but you know what? It's up to you all. But if you want to do these sprint drills with the pole, you can.
You work around the system.
In other words,
Yeah.
pole.
And then you have 2 hours. It gets real complicated. But I hate the rules. I hate the rules because they're absolutely stupid. 8 hours, it's not that I'm going to go over 8 hours. Actually, 8 hours workout a week is actually perfect during that first month. First month, we go for 8 hours. And it's actually plenty of time to get everything done we want. We'll go 4 to 5 times a week, and we're getting an hour and a half to 2 hours. And these kids are getting great general preparation work. This includes their weights. Now, weights may go over a little bit because weights also can be voluntary, but I usually put a time limit. I'll say, all right, we're done with our workout today at 5, but if your lift happens to take longer, it's up to you. That's how I do it. But my workout's geared at 5. You want to go home at 5? That's the way it goes. And that's how we follow.
When does the whole 8-hour-a-week thing end?
Once your school declares that you're able to go to 20 hours a week, there's 256 days a year during the school year that you can actually, 156 days, I wish 250. 156
Yeah, there's that.
where you're in what we call unrestricted time where you can go 20 hours a week. 156 days out of the year, and there's a certain calendar. And each school counts the calendar different, how you count vacations, how you do it. And it depends on the head coach there, how they put it together. What I basically do, I have a system set up where I have my preseason work, where in September we go about 5-6 weeks of this 8 hours a week. And in October, we go from October till The week before Thanksgiving is my 20 hours per week. And then I restart up again the week of in December, right before a break, because I count the breaks don't count in there, all the way through our season. That's how I do it. Because I found Thanksgiving, I'm only going to get 8 hours. During convention time, only 8 hours, all those things. So I have this weird system. But anyway, the 8 hours actually works out great for general conditioning. Because that's when the time, basically, all we're doing is, you know, our weights, our introductory weights, our development. We're doing our sprint drills, hills, and that sort of system. That's basically what I'm following. And then as our warm-ups is when we're working on our basic extra strength. Some of, you know, certain days we may be doing the things we're talking about.
Are all these routines on your website?
On my track website?
Yeah.
Now, how you know about my track website?
I'm just asking.
Actually, they're not, but we were looking in the future. In the past, I used to have my whole routine on there. I just took it off recently because everybody was copying. No, I'm just joking. We used to put on my, put all my preseason circuit stuff, how we did everything. There could be some specifics on that. But basically, you work with what you have general, then get more specific, but then you have to fluctuate things a little bit. And the thing is, it's very complicated, all these things. But the big thing is speed, resistance over. And I'll give you another example during early season what we do. A speed workout may be playing no-huddle football.
Super.
Okay, we play what we call no-huddle football. That means when you play a football game, you can't huddle, and there was only one-handed touch. You're not allowed to leave the ground because everybody gets a little too competitive. And a couple of us play permanent quarterback, and we just go, and they just get a little speed work. It's kind of fun. We do a lot of fun things then. One of the things I had, and I did a paper here on coordination training is real important in terms of vaulting. You've got to develop the whole body, everything in the early part. You've got to do a lot more coordination, general activity. I like vaulters who can do more than one event. More important. I like that. I like people that aren't so one-dimensional. Eventually, some of them might get the point we still have a priority, but I don't like one-dimensional. For my group this year, the type of athletes I have, we will probably, all my vaulters in the fall will probably do a mini decathlon for fun. That'll be part of our whole training thing to give us some general work. All of them will learn it because all of them pretty much can hurdle. All of them can long jump. All of them
Yeah,
can
that
do
would be fun.
things.
That's what
We
I'm
have fun.
saying. It's a good cross training kind of
Yeah,
thing.
and it's, hey, again, it takes the edge off. It makes things happen. We do a lot of things a little different like that. So we're trying to build up towards that. All short approach, long jump, short approach, high jump, all those other type of things. We'll do, and sometimes, because I've got a larger group this year, some of them may be decathletes. That's what we'll end up with. Okay.
Stay as long as you want. You want to just lock up?
Yeah,
and go?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
It's one of these.
Tom's are
Is that kind of thing that you can lock it? As long as you want. We can actually leave right
Oh, this guy's on a roll. All right. So anyways, running, speed resistance, general to specific, et cetera, you're working those things. But the thing you're trying to do now, let's talk about in season and what we're trying to do. I basically follow in season a very simple training philosophy when I really want someone to peak. What I do is I take my most important competition here, and then I count backwards my weeks. So let's say if I have 10 weeks to that competition, 10 weeks to this part here, what I do is I follow a basic periodization ladder system. Okay? And I follow it just like this. Week one's like this much, resist this, and down, up, down, up, down, like, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, let's say give us 11 weeks, whatever, I'll go down. Okay, basic sort of thing. This may be my most important competition right here. Okay. I found that if I really want some improvements, I follow a 3-week up, ease it, and that's basically my intensity training a lot, or I call it stress. This is one thing I've always determined, is when I determine my training models, is I look at stress. I don't look at just volume and intensity, I look at stress. Meaning how much stress is that activity? How intense is that activity? How much is that going to wear me down? And so you're kind of looking at tying in For some, you may just follow that model on how much intensity you have in terms of your workouts and what you're trying to do. You can follow that actually in the fall and et cetera. But it's basically a hard week of workouts. An easy week of workouts, a medium, harder. Then go back down to what we call an easy, but you just drop down a little bit, then go up, medium, hard, easy week. Medium, hard, easy, easy. But there may be kind of a little fluctuation through there. And then my body is able to come up. So what happens is to my body is it starts going through it starts following a pattern more like physically. After I finish, it starts going more like this here, and I start coming through where my body starts. After this week here, after these 3 weeks apart, my body's pretty at a low level here physically. As I get an easy week and I start building up, I start being a little stronger, and I start coming around, it starts compensating, and I start going back, and then I'm back here. Okay. So what you're basically doing is I want to fluctuate the amount of work that I have, and I come through. And I tell you, this model has worked a lot in terms of just really trying to peak someone out. If I really want to peak them out so they're physically ready for something, I just follow this. And I don't follow it as strictly saying, okay, only intensity, only volume. I look at stress. Stress, I look at intensity times volume times type of meets, what's going on, type of activities, school. I think school has to be brought in there. What's amazing is during finals times or during midterm times at our school is when a lot of my athletes start getting a training effect on their body. Their bodies start getting really run down during that time. So I have to, it may seem like an easy week when you look at their workout, but when you add all the stress they're going through school, in reality, that's what I look at. I look at the amount of stress on the body, and mentally and physically. Certain competitions are a little more mental and those type of things. But you want to fluctuate up like this so that when you come through, you've got to give yourself some chances to rest. Now, how do I do it during the week? I follow the same thing. It means then I'm going to have a really hard week, and it may even mean I even train all the way through meets. I may go to a meet that week, but I'm working out every day that week. I may even be as hard as lifting the day before that meet. Okay? My group can't always handle that. I haven't done that for a few years because they can't handle it. Okay? I'm hoping my groups in the future they can. Now, that's our goal, is to get a point where we can work through some certain meets. You guys work through meets? Sometimes? Yeah. It depends on what they can handle.
I used to do a lot more. I don't.
They can't, and it's kind of interesting. I used to be able to take my group and go on a Sunday, have a hard weight workout, and then on Monday have a great vault workout, and then go a little easier on Tuesday and do that. Nowadays, it always seems like you got to rest them up for every practice. I'm trying to get away from that. I'm trying to get them an ability where they can handle being able to jump tired. That's one of my goals, and we've worked on that this year, and I think we're getting it. But the problem is, if you always vault tired, that's not good either, because you're learning how to vault under a condition you're not going to have at a meet. Okay? The thing is, you've got to compensate that body. You're going to increase the intensity, but rest is what allows the body to recompensate up. It allows it to return back to where it is. The problem is rest is boring. Rest is boring. Sometimes when you're resting, for some people, no, seriously, you start resting over a period of time, it's boring, and your body, you still have to keep your body sharp during that rest time. You still have to, neuromuscular, you have to activate it all. So doing sprint drills, doing active things, keeping things going. And I a lot of times I even trick my athletes. I do workouts during rest periods or easy weeks that seem like they're super, super hard, but they're actually very easy. They just think they're hard. They have quick recovery, ability to do things go on. Mentally to work with them. Because picking that peak and how much rest I do before a major, I know how to get them ready for a major championship to be peaked. But in reality, their best peak actually comes much later after that. I have a certain system for that. But that's how you do. You want to fluctuate everything you do, variety, change things, put that together. Okay? And I always look back. What do I need to do to set that up? And I put that together. That's just basic, what we call activity like that. All right, next thing, so we're looking in terms of general, during the season there, we'll get a little more intense, we'll do some speed work, a basic workout during that week. And the problem is, why I would give you something is it's so much different for each athlete. I have athletes that are either multi-events or decathletes, or they may be a pole vault, or they may do something. But I always like basically 2 hard days in a row, an easy day, and maybe a medium day, then a hard. I found that when you go hard every other day, if you ever notice you're sore 2 days after an activity than you are the day after. So I kind of follow that model. So a lot of times what I'll do is I do my speed work on Monday, a good little weight work. There may be weights on that day or something going on. Tuesday becomes my over distance endurance day. Wednesday becomes my recovery day, or we're doing more recovery type activities. And that may be like a gymnastics day or doing something like that, having some fun. It depends on where it's at. Thursday, again, becomes more of a speed activity day, or it could be my hills, a little bit more over distance on volume on Friday type thing. That's kind of my rule. And I fluctuate the intensity that way. Always Wednesday becomes my easy day. Now, I used to, during a season, I usually do this, though. I go Monday, Wednesday would be my vault days. Thursday would be my easy day. Friday, my activating day to get ready for a meet. Do a little bit of workout, and Saturday was meet. Thursday would be more of the recovery day type thing. But sometimes if I'm working through that, it would kind of fluctuate. Tuesday and Thursday through those type of activities.
Tuesday would be a what?
Tuesday would still, in a basic model, sometimes be Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and lifting. Sunday would be my harder workout. Tuesday would be kind of an easy type weight workout. Thursday a little bit. Monday, Wednesday would be my running and my vaulting days. But Thursday, I found that again, if I'm looking at the more important the competition, 2 days before is when I want to rest things down a little bit more. I usually I go Monday, Wednesday, Saturday vault. Some people go Tuesday, Thursday, and through their breaks. I don't know if I want to have a good vault day on Wednesday and I start getting a little more up. But Monday's my high volume vault day. Wednesday's my medium volume vault day, etc. But I may mix those up, where Monday may be the short day, Wednesday, etc. But for the most part, that's how I follow. Okay. Anything different? You guys, and it fluctuates all the time. It depends on my group.
We do, it just depends the time of year and what we're trying to do. We'll go like Mondays, Thursdays, and then Tuesday will be like, well, similar to what you're doing, speed endurance.
Now
What
during
we
the
call
fall, I vault Monday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once the season starts, it's Monday, Wednesday, and then,
Yeah.
or Monday, Wednesday. But then in the fall, we'll do Wednesday as kind of our gymnastics day, so they're a little
Same thing.
fresher coming into their vault day.
Well,
But the girls, I'll maybe go Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
It's just like it's the same thing. Like Monday, during the fall, vaulting activities become Monday, Thursday. Those are my high intense days. Over distance days become, or endurance type things, or Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday's a recovery day. But sometimes that's like gymnastics or pool or other things. Go ahead.
During the fall, what month would you start vaulting? Actually, going.
I usually, it depends, but I pretty much start doing some stuff in October. But if I can, part of that's because of my this weird calendar thing. I pretty much just let them condition, get things ready. But I really like to, and I start doing with my younger athletes, I try to do the little 2-hour thing we have a week, the NCAA allows, where we may do some activities with the pole, working on plant drills and doing other drills. We do a lot of just basic prep drills that you guys have out here early on. And then in our early vaulting, we're just really just doing a lot of straight pole work or sand vaults or some other things. And we just do a lot of things. We just do a lot of drills. We don't actually vault. But probably I try to shoot for November. About the time I start taking some short run vaults.
Do you do any long?
Huh?
Well, I think it's funny is I get that question all the time. It's like, well, what I consider vaulting or what they consider vaulting is.
Yeah.
Austin can probably talk about it. It's like, well, we do a lot of stuff, but I consider vaulting, but it's not actually
What I consider
running,
vaulting would
vaulting,
probably
been in a
be
pole kind of thing.
Yeah,
They're doing
probably
tons
five
of this
lefts
progression
or
stuff
more.
that you see.
5 lefts or more is when I start considering it
Yeah.
vaulting. When we're actually going for a bar.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about basically.
Yeah. 5 left. We're doing short approach all November. We always have a December meet, so we kind of get ready. But I only give them really a little bit of time. Sometimes a short run, and for some reason, I can't keep them down for that meet. They always tend to they want to go after that meet, so they get pretty pumped up for that meet. Doesn't matter what I do training wise, they'll always be ready for that meet.
Well, I was glad to see in your schedule that you never vaulted really 2 days in a row, any hard vault.
No.
And anything as intense as a full approach or hard plyos, you really need 72 hours to recover from it.
And
So you
maybe a
gotta-
week.
if you push them harder, then they're gonna get injured.
And plyos are something, some of you guys, you know what we've been doing out here, all our takeoff series stuff? Those are plyos.
Yeah.
When we do our gallops, we do our thing. But we get to the point where we have what we call warm-up pliers in every practice. But our plyos are basically like this. We did those usually this year we did them on Tuesday and Friday, or we just did them Tuesday. And Friday we did a lesser version of it because Friday our body's kind of pretty broken down. But my basic plyos are what I call some of the stuff you see out there, gallops and other things. But my basic ones would be I call them speed hops, high hops. What are the difference between high hops and speed hop? Speed hops, I go as fast as I can, hop, 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 hop. High hops are more triple jump hops. And stride bounds. And then alternate. That's where I do triple jump style. I go hop, hop, stride, switch legs, hop, hop, switch legs, hop, hop, switch legs, hop, hop. And but always starting off with gallops. But we do actually an intense gallop where we do them over hurdles, and we get really good. We do our gallop drills, or doubles and single gallops, where we go over 24-inch hurdles. Boom, boom, and we work that like we're long jumpers. And
Do you do long jumping? Do you long jumping?
well, this group again. In the past, I've done a lot of long jumping. I finally have some athletes I think I can do a lot of long jumping with, and we will do a lot of long jumping. We're prepping for that. Anyways, alternate, and then we may do some hurdle jumps. I used to be highly against these. I still kind of am. One thing I don't like is risk in a practice. You know, regular hurdles. What I use is those breakdown hurdles when I do hurdle jumps, meaning jumping over hurdles. I don't like regular hurdles jumping over because someone just gets your foot caught like this and they're out for the season. I try to keep things low risk. If we're going to get hurt, let's do it pole. Okay? Everything else I do. But this takes them a while to prep up for this, to get to the point. We may do baby versions of this and only maybe about two. First time we do this, we're only doing one set of these things. Then we may do two. We may work our way up to 3 sets of these types
And
of
this
things.
is all off season, correct?
Off season. But we actually, during the season, we may start, if some of our group can handle, we'll do those only once a week. Okay? That may again be like on a Tuesday or something, or right after we take a ball session, they may go over and do some stuff. It depends on where they're at. But, you know, for example, this year, we're going to really do a lot of work on long jumping type stuff. We're going to actually long jump and hurdle. I love hurling. Hurling is one of the greatest. And what's fun about having a second event, you can't pole vault every day. So sometimes on Tuesdays would be our second event day. Monday, Wednesday during the season, but Tuesday we work on our second event. Hurling or doing something along those lines. Hurling, possibly long jumping, but vaulting. In reality, vaulting and long jumping are almost the same. All they need to do is just a little bit of approach. The approaches are the same. We do everything the same way. Okay. And that's pretty much gallops are considered in that, and those are abounding. If you can't do a simple one-legged squat with a lot of balanced things, you don't need to do much of this. And our other thing we do is fun. We'll do what we call standing triple jumps. Okay, that's probably one of my big tests, but we develop up to that. It's been years since I've gotten to the point where I'm in, but that's where you start with 2 legs, land on 1 leg, switch legs, land in the pit. And we see how far you can go. My record, I think, is it 33 or 34?
33 feet?
Kevin Brown. Unbelievable, man.
Oh my
Guy could
gosh.
beat anyone around. I mean, he's had the farthest I've ever had. But usually a good vault
Dude,
is
what was
around
your
28
17
feet.
at Reno?
What?
Oh my god.
Okay.
Didn't he what?
Well, you know what? We do that as part of our workouts. And one day we were getting ready for the conference championship, and it was going to be a close one. And North Carolina had never won a men's conference championship in about 30 years. It was the first year I got there. Had all my guys doing second events for fun. Kevin would hurdle, you could do 4x1, all these things. All my athletes did something extra. And so when we got to that conference, those guys started doing their work. And coach came in and we started thinking, you know, there's one event, maybe we can put Kevin in. We hadn't thought of it because he could triple on it. Coach came up, all right, I'll let you do it. He gets the triple jump this meet. He went 48 feet his first meet, ever triple jumping in his life.
This is that pole vault
Because of
that
the training we have been doing for it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
A year later, we said, well, let's try the long jump, and he fouled a 25-footer by that. Those are the things. But that's what, you know what? All the great vaulters are pretty much at those levels.
That's insane.
So it took a little bit of edge off. Some things happened. And tell me a little bit about second events, why I like those. First kid I had go 18 was a guy named Warren Smith. And Warren Smith was one tough, mean competitor. Who's here from Carroll? One of you guys from Carroll, right?
Yeah.
He's your, now Let's Go Records gone now, but he's from, Warren Smith was from there. And Warren, when, he was a tough, mean dude, man. Big old dude. And I get out and practice, and it just got too hard on him, not being able to ball all the time. And it was hard to pull him off the runway. So we always did our fall decathlons for fun, and he did really good. He scored something like 6,300 points just doing little stuff. So all right, we'll put you in that. Did it at the conference, and then he went 18 at the volume meet, and guys came up to me and they go, you know what? Now he doesn't have to do decathlon anymore. You know, he'd probably do better. I said, shoot, decathlon's what got him here. He wouldn't have jumped this high if he didn't do decathlon. You know, Lawrence Johnson was a decathlete his first year. His biggest improvements ever was as a decathlete. Now, he hated doing it, but I don't know. Pole vaulters are decathletes. Watch your limits, and you have to watch those things. I'm not telling you to do other events. I just think a vaulter should have the ability to do so many things. You're an all-around athlete. And pole vaulting gets awful boring to the fact that you can only practice it so much. That's what happens. You have to fill in that time with a lot of training. And get yourself out of, when you do the same old training all the time, it gets boring, and when your body gets bored physically, it gets hurt. Okay? When you do the same thing over and over, it gets hurt. All right. Let's look at any other questions training-wise. So how do I peak myself out? Again, flexion and rest, getting things ready, prepping for that day, mentally getting myself ready for that big meet, making sure I'm well rested, and I go through periods of time where I'm trying to rest and get my body peaked up for that period. I should be my most active, my fastest, my best, my most powerful at that meet. The most important meet, I should also be able to run my fastest on that day. If I did 40 times on that day, I should have my fastest 40s on that day. If I went out and pole vault. My highest strength levels, my highest power levels, in reality should be on that day. The problem is, training-wise, it's hard to get to that point all the time. So in reality, what I'm looking at mentally and physically, I should be at my best those days. That's what I should be. And it was easier as a throws coach, it was easier for me with my throwers. What I usually did was 2 weeks before they had, a week to 2 weeks. I usually went a week because it was easier. It really should be 2 weeks before. The most important meet they had, that's when they should have had their best max in the power clean. They had their best max in the power clean. I prepared them. That's how I trained them 2 weeks before. Then they would usually PR big time at the most important competition because they're at their strongest, most powerful level. Vaulting's more complicated than that. I'm not going to have you ready to power clean 2 weeks. Your heaviest level 2 weeks before or a week before. It takes too. You're going to be broken down too much. You're training. But I should have you at your fastest, and I should have you at your most technical sound abilities at that point. I should be the sharpest and ready to go at that point. And it takes fluctuating my rest and recovery and my intensity training. Any questions on that? But for our coach, it becomes quite an art there.
Yeah.
Of what you try to do.